Listen, I don't like Chris. I don't have to like him, but no one's out to hurt anybody here, you know. And it's a shame that he lives in that world of paranoia where he genuinely believes that anybody's out to get him, because nobody really is. And it's for his toenail. I couldn't care less about his toenail.
For a hell of a surprise. He thinks he's going to go out there and hop, skip, and a step and a right hand, as he says. He has no idea the pain.
Telling me night, it's one of the worst pains you'll ever have. But listen, it's being done. Some find it funny, some don't. It's all part and parcel. When you get involved in these kind of things, you have to just accept it. And everyone's bought into the fight. We all know the drama, the rivalry's real. My greatest worry is these two boys don't bump into each other when no one's around. Yeah. Because if they do, it's happening. 100%. It's worse than that, mate. It's happening.
Conor Benn, from rising star to boxing's biggest fall. Conor Benn once stood on the brink of superstardom. He carried the proud Benn family legacy, sold himself as Britain's next big attraction, and promised blockbuster nights against Chris Eubank Jr., but in the cruelest...
No, do you know what it is? I don't think... I mean, you could say like father, like son, but I just genuinely... I just don't feel like he's my cup of tea. Like, I don't... Like,
oh, you just don't like him?
I just... I don't like him. No, I don't like him. But I don't have to like him.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I don't... Why do I...
Twist of fate. Benn's downfall didn't come from a crushing knockout. It came from outside the ropes. Failed drug tests, police involvement, and now whispers of retirement have turned what was once a golden career into a cautionary tale. Instead of stepping up and facing accountability, Benn has shocked fans.
I am taking Eubank's head clean off his shoulders. It's gonna be so brutal. It's gonna be so...
By suggesting he might walk away. To many, it feels less like a proud champion's farewell and more like a desperate retreat, an attempt to escape the consequences, rather than confront them. Meanwhile, his rival Chris Eubank Jr. stands tall, focused, and ready to fight, proving himself the embodiment of resilience in contrast. Benn himself has admitted that the reality of his situation is hard to swallow, but the box...
Something's wrong if you're doing something wrong, regardless of whether people can see it or not. I'm going to expose you. I don't care about being fined. I don't care about hurting somebody's feelings. I don't care about being singled out.
Boxing public isn't buying it. This isn't the story of a fighter undone by a bad scorecard or a controversial referee decision. Benn's collapse has been self-inflicted, the result of repeated failed drug tests, mounting excuses, and an arrest that dragged his name further into the mud. Each excuse chipped...
Do you think Conor Benn will be better in the second fight?
Yes,
Does that mean that you think that by him being better and there's no more left from Chris Eubank, that Conor Benn's able to bridge the gap, get an outcome in his second fight?
Without a doubt.
You do?
He couldn't have done any more. If he could have knocked out Conor in that fight, he would have done.
Yeah.
He just couldn't get rid of him. And Conor stuck it. So regardless of him being surprised that Conor stuck it out a lot more.
Away at his credibility. Every moment of silence behind his PR team paints the image of a man unwilling to face his own reflection. In contrast, Chris Eubank Jr. has built a reputation, love him or hate him, for always standing up, even in defeat. He never dodges the cameras, never hides from scrutiny. That difference now looks colossal. Frank Warren summed it up best.
Firstly, the guy is not well. Secondly, the guy really should be here. But the fact that he's not involved, the fact that he couldn't take any money, the fact that he couldn't be involved in any decisions, stand in front of the cameras, is making him sick as a parrot. So
when he said Benn wasn't just down, he was broken. The once cocky fighter who bragged about smashing everyone is now fragile and cornered. Warren tried to soften the blow by crediting Benn's contribution to British boxing. But let's be honest, what contribution? The legacy Benn leaves behind is 3 failed drug tests, a police arrest, and an escape route disguised as retirement. The tragedy isn't that Benn might retire. The tragedy is the disgraceful way he's going out. Fans didn't want sob stories or excuses. They wanted the fight, the gladiator showdown with Eubank Jr. Instead, they're left with the bitter taste of scandal and disappointment. Even Eddie Hearn, who once promoted Benn as the future of British boxing, now doubts whether his fighter will ever set foot in the ring again. And unlike Warren, Hearn doesn't sugarcoat it. He's blunt.
Coming back down to 160, so it's got a very short lifespan, this rematch. It's got to be done. The sooner the better. If I'm being brutally honest, the sooner the rematch happens, in my opinion, it favours Conor Benn, because he's the younger fighter who's took less damage and has had a much lesser career with much less experience. For someone like Chris Eubank Jr., it's going to take a while to turn around, and it's going to take a while to recover, because that was a hard fight for him. He was shook a number of times. He felt the shots. He'd also
Ben's career may be beyond repair. A single failed drug test is bad enough. 3 is almost impossible to recover from. Add an arrest and the idea of Ben rebuilding his reputation feels absurd. Hearn's doubts echo the growing frustration among fans who have lost faith. While Ben's stock plummets, Chris Eubank Jr.'s rises. He's proven time and again that real fighters weather storms, take their losses head on, and come back stronger. That's why Eubank's reputation has never been cleaner. Perhaps the most damning words came from heavyweight contender Daniel Dubois. He doesn't mince them. Drug cheats should step aside and let real fighters fight. Dubois speaks for every clean boxer who's sweated in the gym, made weight the hard way, and entered the ring without shortcuts. To him and to many, Ben's behavior is beyond redemption. Failing once might be called a mistake. Failing
I say the fight wasn't a letdown because it was a good fight, but as an event, you won't get a better event than that, and they'll have to go some actually to surpass that, or even equal that. Let's just hope they get the same turnout in terms of the numbers, people going through the live gate and watching that fight, because it was a great event. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. You won't get world title fights that actually are a better.
3 times and getting arrested, that's unforgivable. Dubois is right. Boxing stands for discipline, sacrifice, and respect. By flouting all 3, Ben has spat on the sport. Contrast that with Chris Eubank Jr., who has never needed performance enhancers to prove his worth. He's taken his losses on the chin, faced criticism head-on, and continued to fight clean. That's the brutal difference. Eubank Jr. represents integrity, while Ben now symbolizes disgrace. The British Boxing Board of Control has made its position clear. It will not sanction Ben's fights. That's the final nail in the coffin. Think about how humiliating that is. Once tipped for superstardom, Ben now finds himself barred from competition by the very body meant to regulate him. Eddie Hearn may...
Honestly, this guy has zero respect for anything. For anything. And I hope people can see through it. Some will, some won't. But if you can't see them, I mean, that's a lot of what happened up there was just wrong. So listen, we go to work and we're in to win the fight. It's going to be different this time.
Try to polish the language, but the truth is simple. If the governing body itself doesn't trust you to enter a ring, your career is finished. Meanwhile, Eubank Jr., despite his critics, has never been banned, never failed a test, never been escorted by police. The contrast has never been clearer. The boxing world is nearly unanimous on this. Pundits like Spencer Oliver and Simon Jordan have both insisted there can be no second chances for drug cheats. Jordan didn't mince his words. Gonski, he said bluntly, should be the only option. And he's right. To allow Ben another chance would send a terrible message to every young fighter dreaming of making it clean. It would say that shortcuts and lies are tolerable if you're famous enough. Spencer Oliver echoed that sentiment, calling for accountability and transparency. Boxing, he argued, cannot afford to let Ben sneak through loopholes. This isn't about punishment for punishment's sake. It's about protecting the sport's credibility. And
there's been a lot of respect anyway. Personally, I don't like him. You know, he thought I was going to be an easy touch, which is why he fought welterweight. So is there much respect there? Not really, but you know, ultimately, you know, I'm ready to honour my side of the agreement, which was the 2-fight deal, and it's safe to say he's scared. You know, he almost lost. Could have gone either way to a welterweight.
Credibility depends on fighters like Eubank Jr., who grind through careers the right way. That's the story now. 2 fighters once linked by rivalry, but now divided by principle. One still standing, one falling apart. Eubank Jr. may not be universally loved, but he's respected. Ben, once destined to be the face of British boxing, now risks becoming its greatest cautionary tale. Because in the end, legacy isn't built in hype. It's built in how you handle the storm. Eubank faced his, Ben ran from his. And that's why the distance between them has never been wider. Chris Eubank Jr. rises as Conor Benn's legacy. Crumble's trainer Don Charles delivered the message cold and clear. If you take banned substances and get caught, there's no forgiveness. That's the brutal reality Conor Benn cannot escape. Johnny Nelson adds another layer, pointing out that Benn's repeated attempts to skirt responsibility have stained the sport itself. Fans are left asking the same question: how can a fighter fail multiple drug tests, keep competing, and only stop when public outrage explodes? Nelson...
I do see improvement there for Conor, and I do think the results will be different the other way around in the next fight. I think it'll go the distance all over again.
Admits he was as stunned as the fans. The collapse of Benn's career has been sudden, chaotic, and humiliating. The fact that we're even debating whether he should retire or be punished shows how deep the rot in boxing has spread. Through it all, one man stands taller than ever: Chris Eubank Jr. Eubank doesn't mince words. If you fail a drug test, you don't deserve respect, leverage, or equality. That statement captures the difference between the two men. What was once billed as one of British boxing's biggest showdowns has turned into a one-sided story of disgrace. Eubank Jr. isn't just the cleaner fighter, he's now the symbol of integrity in this rivalry. He holds the moral high ground, the credibility, and every ounce of bargaining power. Benn's team can spin their narratives, his fans can defend him, but no one can erase the facts: 3 failed drug tests, and a humiliating arrest. Even the one thing every fighter clings to, money, has slipped away. Eubank Jr. now controls everything, while Benn walks away empty-handed.
For me, it's a fight that probably means a lot less for boxing than what it does for the actual fighters. You know, the fighters, for them, there's a lot at stake. Conor Benn wants to overturn the decision. And Chris Eubank wants to cement the decision and say, I've done it twice. Bottom line is, they're necking big bunts, aren't they? Big dollar, and they might as well make money. These are prize fighters. We can't begrudge them making money fighting, because that's what they do.
His legacy in tatters. The fall of Conor Benn has left British boxing shaken. 3 failed tests, an arrest, and talk of retirement have cemented his name in scandal, not glory. Yet in the wreckage, one fighter's reputation has soared. Chris Eubank Jr. has emerged not just as the rival denied his fight, but as the symbol of what boxing should represent: integrity, discipline, and accountability. If the fight ever happens, the stakes would be monumental. For Benn, it would be a desperate bid for redemption, a chance to prove he can compete clean. For Eubank Jr., it would be the ultimate statement, dismantling the rival who once promised greatness, but destroyed himself through deception. This rivalry has transcended skill. It's now about mentality, honesty, and respect for the sport. And on that front, Eubank Jr. has already won. Conor Benn's downfall is more than a personal tragedy, it's a warning. A fighter who once carried the hopes of British boxing now walks away disgraced, his name forever linked to scandal. Meanwhile, Chris Eubank Jr., through his resilience and transparency, stands as the counterpoint. The fighter who never needed shortcuts, who faced defeat without shame, and who embodies the values Benn abandoned. So the question remains, can Eubank Jr. restore pride to British boxing, or will Benn somehow rise from the ashes? One thing is clear: Benn's silence screams guilt, his excuses ring hollow, and his retirement feels less like courage and more like surrender. Boxing deserves better, and Chris Eubank Jr., love him or hate him, has proven he's ready to give it.